I bring you a message of truth. This is a survival guide with knowledge to people who are in love unities and marriages and things like that. When it comes to being in a unity between two people, such as a marriage or a love partnership, it can become burdensome sometimes, almost like a game. And you may be in the middle of one right now. And then comes a time where you are confused and not really sure where you are, where you're standing, and where's anything going to go. So the best advice that I could give is to look out for your best interest. You want to look out for your best interest because a partnership should be 50-50. You shouldn't have to be doing most of the work. It shouldn't be 70-30, 60-40. It should be 50-50. People have said before it takes two to tango, which is true. One person shouldn't have to hold the relationship up, and the other person needs to contribute also. And if they're not, I can guarantee you that you will have a lot of regrets later on in life. Once you notice that things are rocky and one person does not want to contribute, you need to start giving that person some distance and start practicing putting away your sentiments. The unity is falling apart and you don't know what to do. So, like I said, look out for your best interest, which means if it works, it works. Don't question it. If it does not work, it's probably meant not to work. So, distancing yourself gives you an opportunity to watch the situation fall apart on itself, and you don't have to assume total responsibility, which means that this is the chance for you to free yourself. And why would you want to free yourself if you are in love with a person? Because, one, if that person does not love you back as much as you love them, do they really deserve you? I mean, don't you think you deserve someone who puts something back to you? If they do at first, it's fine, and that's why you stay. But once that person wants to turn the rules of what was agreed upon and try to take things away from you, then you know you're in trouble. And it may not be your fault. It may be that person. That person probably has self-esteem issues. So it's always good to figure out what are their secrets, their dark sides, and their weaknesses. And then you will know, oh, this is not my fault, because when I was younger, I used to blame myself. I used to think, did I do something wrong? Yes, I have done wrong things, but I feel like they were forgivable. They were very forgivable. And the other person wanted to throw the blame. So that's what people do. They throw blame and try to change the situation around where it's not really their fault. They're just going through a phase, and they don't want to tell you the straight answer, which is, I don't feel the same way about you as I used to. So it is best not to fight back. It is best to distance yourself from that person and practice living a fulfilled life without that person. And that is a great way to survive. Here's another point I want to make. If the situation is getting wavy and uncertain, and you are not sure where things are going, ask and get straight answers. Okay, ask and get straight answers, which means there comes a time where you need to ask, what are we, or what do you want out of this? And if that person cannot answer you right away, or is unsure, even though you've had a history together, then it's time to start cutting your ties. Again, like I'm going to say, look out for your best interest. When the unity is wavy, remember that in the beginning of everything, there's a romantic phase, and it's satisfying. It raises your dopamines. You may start to become a little bit more attached, which is it's natural. Some people think that getting attached is strange, but that's how people get married. That's how relationships work. You build relationship. You build a friendship and an attachment. You become interested in that person. You tell them your concerns, your secrets. You tell them your issues with family. It's completely normal. Completely normal. As long as you have some kind of mutual respect. But then, the tide turns. Remember, there was a romantic phase in the beginning, but the tide turns. And what that means, there can always be romance, but things like work and monotony start to drain people's emotions. And that's when you realize you are with the right person, is when they have the willpower to go on and continue and hold things together, because you're building up something. And if one person is building the unity and the other person tries to knock it down every time you try to bring it up, then that person is not really sure what they want. They may have love for you or be in love with you, but they are afraid. They're very afraid, and there's really nothing that you can do. You can help them or tell them you love them, give them every compliment known to man, and yet they seem to always be confused and not be satisfied with anything. So you have to watch yourself for people like that. You have to keep all your emotions in a distance. A lot of people, they tend to throw everything at a partner, thinking that it'll all be okay, and that's not the way it is. It's there's going to be problems, and that's when you see how strong that person is. Right? Do they have the willpower to continue to go through with the fight, whatever the circumstances? Another point: two people are lovers, and suddenly only one wants a friend companionship or a friendly companionship. So if two people have been together, maybe not officially, but they continue to see each other, they become intimate. And then all of a sudden, one of them wants to become a friend for strange reason. If they don't want to see you as often, they don't want to have sex, or they want to see you, but they seem to make excuses sometimes, or have stories that don't really add up. They say, I just want to be friends, but I want to start dating again. So, like, what do you do? Do you, stay friends with that person? Or do you walk away? I mean, think about your own dignity. Would you stop having relations with that person and that you thought had feelings for you? Then all of a sudden, they get bored and they think, I want to meet other people, but I still need you around. I think that it is fair game for you to walk away if that's not what you're looking for. If you want to be friends with this person and that person wants to be friends with you, then the friendship remains and it will always be a friendship. Things like intimacy get involved, and friends become more than friends, they become lovers. Then things change a little bit. You become more dependent of each other. There's an emotional attachment. You may think, oh, she's just a friend or he's just a friend, and if I separate from this person, I'll be okay because we're friends. It will not be that easy. It may be in the beginning when you don't have that attachment to that person, but once you did, once things have gotten too deep, then it's never going to be the same. So ask yourself, will you sit there while they seek new wine, which, in other words, a new lover, would you sit there and wait with them? Or would you look out for your best interest and say, this is not what I want. I need to cut my ties off with you. Because people will play emotional games. If you don't want anything serious, if they find somebody, oh, they don't want anything serious, and I don't really want anything serious, let's get together and have a good time. Let's have fun and get intimate just to pass the time. But do you think once they take that away from you, which is what you wanted, don't you think you have the right to walk away and put your foot down and say, this is not what I want, this is not what I need, because I have needs, just like you have needs. You may be available to that person for their emotional needs, but sometimes the other person may have physical needs. They need to be touched, they need to kiss, they need to have relations. So for you to remain friends with someone that you have feelings for would be a bit foolish. It would not be foolish. It would be okay once you've given yourself some time to drain your feelings for that person, to get detached. So you need a moment of separation. Looking out for your best interest, what works for you. It's the best way to survive this thing. You have to tell yourself, I deserve the best. And if somebody does not want to give you the best, then you need to find someone better. It's better to distance yourself. Let me ask you something. A lot of people, they become emotionally attached and it's very hard for them to break it off. And they will tell you, I've been told before, oh, I just cannot leave that person because I still have feelings for them. And that is natural. That is okay. But try not to become a doormat for people. Put your self-interest first. Think about this. If you go to a store to purchase something and you have the worst customer service, every time you go there, that person or the clerk or whoever works there treats you horribly, unfairly, does not treat you with respect, does not assist you in what you need, even though you ask, even though you are polite, you may be aggressive sometimes, because that's what we need to do sometimes. Let's say you are at the store and you always get treated unfairly. Would you go again? Would you go back to that store? Or would you say, I don't need to go back. I don't like the way they treat me. I could go somewhere else. You should try another store. And that's why I want you to wake up, open your eyes. You can even close your eyes and visualize yourself walking out of that store and saying to yourself, I need to be treated better because that's what I deserve. Don't go in and out thinking, they're going to change, they're going to change. If they don't want to change, let it be. Let it be and walk out. Go somewhere else. So you need to apply this to your relationships and your unities. What are you getting out of this? How much respect are you getting? Respect is something very important because a person acknowledges who you are, knows your value. And just because that person does not respect you doesn't mean that you don't have value. It might mean that they don't respect themselves, that they don't love themselves, they don't like who they see in the mirror. And they see you it's probably better. Who knows, they might have jealousy towards you. But always stand your ground. Never back down. Because then people see that as a weakness. You can't have an attachment but always have respect for yourself. Your time is important. Don't let people waste your time. If they want to meet with you somewhere, they'll meet with you somewhere. If they want to make an excuse, analyze those excuses. See how many times are they going to keep doing that. They want to keep doing that all the time, then what would you do? Would you keep waiting and trying again and again? Or maybe you can tell yourself, after a few times, I've had enough. That's it. Don't waste my time. My time is precious. We are not meant to live in this world forever. So think about that. One day you may be gone, and you're wasting your time on foolish things. There's another point I want to say. This one's kind of difficult to decipher. You may not see it because you want to be kind to the people that you love or you care about, because they also care about you. But be careful to not be a safety net. Okay? Don't be a safety net always. Listen to people's emotions, listen to their troubles. But they're, after many times of helping them, if they don't want to help themselves, you need to be frank and say, you're on your own. Guide the ones you love to a better place or through a better path. Guide the ones you love to a better path, unless once they pull away from you and from your help and from your hand. Let them fall and suffer because they deserve it. It does not mean boast in their wrongdoings or mistakes. It means let them learn their lesson after so many tries. If you help someone and they decide to make a mistake again, they need to learn the hard way. You don't want to be with people that you spoil, because they will become spoiled. Okay? Think about it. You have needs and desires. You have needs and desires for yourself. And if a person wants to use you as a safety net every time they're disappointed and not give you anything in return, then that person does not value your needs. So be strong and express what your needs are. And if they cannot comply to your demands, then cut ties. Simply cut off all ties. And believe me, this always happens. The person who has gotten this spiritual, emotional nutrition suddenly becomes confused because you are taking something away from them. They're taking something away from you, and you're recognizing it, and now you're taking things away from them. So let's say they don't want to have sexual relations. They want to change the unity that you had. You may go from lovers, and now they just want to turn you into a friend and keep you at a distance. Well, if that is that what you want, because if that's not what you want, then there's no need to fight or pursue. Only pursue when you have done something wrong. When you have done nothing wrong, you are going through struggles and then the other person is not supporting you, then cut ties. That's the best thing that you can do. One last thing. There is a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. Think about that. There's going to be a time where you have lots of relations, you have a lot of intimacy, so much pleasure, but there's going to be a time that there won't be any embracing. There will probably be a friendship in your relationship or whatever's going on with you. But there's going to be a time where that is very low. And you're going to question yourself, like, what am I doing here? Why should this keep going on? There is a time to give them rest, for them to clear their mind. But when your needs are not being met at all, then it's time for you to cut ties. You have to be strong. You have to put yourself above the situation. You have to value yourself and value what you need. If you don't value what you need, you will become somebody else's doormat. So have respect for yourself. Have respect for what you need, what you desire.